Senator Rick Santorum, thank you for coming today to help Mike Donohue and John McCann. Senator Santorum was a champion for conservatism and family values during his 16 years representing our neighboring Pennsylvania in Congress. Whether the issue was defending traditional marriage, fighting for tax cuts for middle-class families, and making the entertainment culture more family-friendly, he was on the front lines. Mrs. Allen, who's right there in the front row today, she's a mother of 5 and a blueberry farm owner from Belle Plaine. She said to me today, Senator Rick Santorum is one of my favorite people. He is not afraid to stand up for moral values. So we thank you for coming to the 1st District today, where we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Jean. It's been great to be with Mike and with John today. People have asked me as I've traveled around the district, why'd you decide to come here? And a couple of reasons. Number one, obviously these are 2 very fine men and fine family men and have good, strong convictions about the way, as you just heard from them, the way New Jersey has to be changed and this country has to be changed. But the reason I'm here, more importantly even than that, is that the impact that this race can have outside of the boundaries of New Jersey. We have, as you see going on in Washington, D.C. right now, a power grab that is unprecedented. Well, maybe it happened during the Great Depression under FDR, where they tried to just seize power away from individuals, families, communities, and states, and centralize it into these elite planners who know best how to run your life. They tried to do that, and they were stopped in a lot of things during the New Deal. But this is the raw deal that Barack Obama is trying to now push on the American public. Whether it's the health care bill, which is getting a lot of attention, and rightly so, whether it's his huge stimulus plan. We just saw a $1.6 trillion annual deficit this year. That is, imagine. I remember when I was in the Senate, we were just pulling our hair out with a $400 billion deficit, saying that is just an outrageous amount of money. It was 2 or 3% of GDP. We're talking about 11.2% of the gross domestic product. Just the deficit is. This is an enormous burden on our economy, but more importantly on our families and future generations of Americans. Why? Is it improving the economy? Is all this government spending helping? No. It's not doing anything good. All it's doing is, again, shifting power away from you into the halls of Washington, D.C. And we see this going on, and this is a critical time. We may or may not see Obamacare go through. We may or may not see this huge energy tax go through that will kill the economy of this country. We may or may not see a bill that would give unions basically control of the business world with this card check proposal. These are 3 issues that are going to be debated and voted on in the next 4 or 5 months. And you say, well, what's that have to do with New Jersey? Well, New Jersey is in a position, along with the state of Virginia, where you have a governor's race and you have legislative races that can give all these folks who you see. I know we have some Fox News watchers out here, and you hear the Democrats on all these YouTubes and on these shows saying, this is just a bunch of mobsters. These are a bunch of angry white males who are out there screaming at town halls, but the voters don't feel that way. Well, in New Jersey and in Virginia, you have an opportunity to tell them they're wrong. You have an opportunity to speak not just to the mess and the problems that you heard these 2 gentlemen talk about in Trenton, but you have an opportunity to influence what goes on over the next few months in Washington, D.C. What happens in this state may determine whether we get Obamacare or not. What happens in this state may determine whether we get the card check bill that will force unionization upon every business person in America. What happens in this state in the next couple of months may determine whether we get a carbon tax where the federal government is going to regulate how much you can produce in carbon, including how much you can breathe, I suspect, in carbon dioxide. This is what's at stake. And believe it or not, you people right here in this district, which is a Republican district, should be held by Republicans. You people, all you have to do is get out the Republican vote and you win. Have the Republicans vote Republican and you win. And you can send a huge message to Washington, D.C. Obviously, elect Chris Christie, you'll send even a bigger message. to Washington, D.C. In Virginia, the same thing is going on. There's a gubernatorial candidate, Republican, held by a Democrat right now. Republicans way ahead. Same thing. Looks like they're going to pick up seats in the legislature in Virginia. Now, if you're a Democrat sitting there in September and October, and you're watching Democrats in New Jersey and in Virginia going down the chute because of the anti-Obama wave, how quickly are you going to run to vote for Obamacare? How quickly are you going to vote for some of these really bad policies? You hold the key, in my opinion, to something that is basically could transform America into a country that none of you would recognize in 10 years. You hold the key right now. So I encourage you. I know there's a good group here. We need to double, triple, quadruple that. And get people out, knocking on doors, talking to your friends and neighbors. You're all talking about this. Everybody's talking about what's going on in Washington. To some degree, I assume you're talking about what's going on in Trenton. You've got to say, this election will disproportionately affect that. And you've got to get out and work hard. You've got to give money. Those of you who haven't given money, give some money. Whatever it is, every little bit helps. These folks will be outspent. Money from George Norcross and the big political bosses will be coming down here to buy these seats again, just like they have done in the past. So you've got to fight back with resources here too. So go out and work hard, give money, do what you can, and you will have your voices heard in the halls of Washington, D.C., and potentially save this country from disaster. Thank you, and God bless you.